It's test taking time, and you have a few students in your class who may need an additional oomph of time in order to complete it, whether they have a learning disability or they're slow cognitive processors. There is a way to allow us as instructors to give specific students more time on a test by creating an adaptive release rule for them. The first thing that we need to do is come down to our drop down chevrons in a test. So I've got a test here for world history, and I'm going to set an adaptive release advanced rule. Now I have no rules here because I haven't added any, so I'm going to create one now, and I'm going to call this accessibility, and then click submit. I can then create criteria in which these rules will be in place. So I can select a membership, and I will create a group of students, and I would make it visible to them. So I could say, let's see, Blackboard Development 1 is going to be part of this group. So I would move them from one side to another, and then I would click Submit. I would then add another criteria. So I'm saying who gets the longer test time and then what time they're going to get. So I can say this test is going to be available at an earlier time for them. So if I had my test set to deploy at 10 a.m., I could have these guys get it at 9 a.m. or 9:30, and then I would display it until the test was over. So I would say if it was a 2-hour time frame, I would set this so it would be until noon, pretending that it was open from 10 until noon, and then I would click submit again. When I'm satisfied with these rules, I can then click OK. Now students will be able, if they meet the criteria that you've set up, you've allowed them to have a membership, and you have told them when the tests are going to be available, they will get the access to the test for an additional half hour. When you're done, click OK. But what about the students who don't need additional time on this? This test is specifically linked to those students who only need additional time. In order to provide a normal test environment for students who do not need that additional resource, we have to create a copy of this test and deploy it again. So you will have two of these columns in your gradebook. One for the adaptive release and one for a traditional student. So I'll show you how to make a copy. I'm going to come down to my control panel under Course Tools, go to Tests, Surveys, and Pools, and then come into the Test section. Here is my World History test, so I can use this drop-down chevron and copy it. It is now World History 1, and you can tell that it is not deployed. So that's the next step, is making sure that we can deploy it. I'm going to come back into my random section of this class, and I'm going to create an assessment. World History 1. Submit. And here I can provide all of the resources that students would need to have. So if you run multiple attempts, force completion with a timer, you can do all of these things here. So if this was a 2-hour test, here is the timer for 2 hours. We can choose to have auto submit on or off. Select the times that it's available. When we're all done doing all of these things, and you know how to do this, I can click submit. And then everybody except for 2 the students who have this adaptive release would take this test, which means that in the gradebook, when this test is taken, you will need to make sure that you null or exclude students who are in this section from this test. So they would be exempt from taking this test, they would be taking this test. Likewise, in the gradebook, I could show you that for the adaptive release test, only those people in that group would be involved. So you would come in and let's say this person wasn't in that adaptive release, I could exempt the grade. If he's in this normal class, but say this person is in the adaptive release, I would come in and exempt the grade for this column. It's a little bit more time consuming, but it is definitely better for the students and their success and their future college achievements. If you have any questions that I might have missed out on, please feel free to get in touch with me. My name is Christine Seidemann, and this is how to do adaptive release.